Oh, kia ora, whānau. How's everyone doing tonight? Chewy, sir. How are you, sir? Doing well?
I am doing really well.
It's really funny, eh? There's this funny lightness going over certain sectors of the of Twitter sphere right now.
It's real hard to put my finger on what it is, but everything's just somewhat better.
Yeah. Look, I don't feel that I'm quite ready for the show tonight yet. So rather than just pausing it and coming back in 20 minutes, we'll just rip into it as we do, and we'll have a bit of a chat. We've got a couple of guests joining us tonight. We had already organized to talk to Sina Brown-Davis about her experience at the counter protest on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But there has been some late breaking news. And I guess now I'll make this very clear for those people who like to criticize us for not being journalistically balanced. I'm not a journalist. But I have worked in news and current affairs radio for quite a good portion of my career. So I do sort of have this thing in the back of my mind about doing things the correct way. So the correct way to do what we're going to talk about tonight is say, allegedly, the hosts of the far-right media outlet Counterspin have been arrested today and charged with crimes. Now, we'll go through that shortly and we'll show you the process of what's happened. But basically, being someone who's worked in news and current events radio especially, I have this thing in the back of my brain that I go, I don't really want to talk about something until it's confirmed. I don't really want to mention names until it's confirmed. It's an innate part of how I want to do things. I want to be fair. Even to the most abhorrent people, I still want to be fair. But just in the space of the last 40 minutes, it's gone from sort of across various internet sites, and we'll show you, from allegation to sort of confirmation to the people themselves saying they're being arrested to now stuff.co.nz basically naming them. So I'm still going to say alleged because I don't think it's confirmed, but it looks pretty likely that Kelvyn Alps and his wife, Hannah Spierer, how do you say her surname? Do you know how to say her surname?
Yeah, I've always said it's Spear.
Have been arrested.
Hear me, your bullshit.
And charged with crimes that are pretty serious. Crimes that another, I can't remember his name, but a guy that identifies as a white supremacist, someone not Alp. Arps, Philip Arps. Similar crimes to what he got arrested for and sentenced to 21 months in prison, according to stuff.co.nz. So I think that's going to be a part of the conversation as we talk through the night. And because it's been a bit for the last hour, I'm just kind of going, okay, settle. Now, let me say this, Chewy. The chats are open. You're welcome to share your chats, whether it's something as kind and generous as evening all and evening lads, or whether you want to share a thought and opinion on this. I will say to you, if you are a fan of Counterspin or of the people in question, just remember we have a very, very, very strict, not my personal one, but like the more strict, serious level of filters on our YouTube comments. So there's no real point getting dickish about it. But if you want to share some thoughts and stuff, we share everyone's thoughts here as long as they're. What are your rules, Chewy? Respectful of the people in the chat and of us?
Yep. Respectful of people's time, opinion. Have a counter opinion. That's absolutely fine. Just present it respectfully.
Yeah. And look, let's bring in Sina. And we've got Byron Clark who's going to join us as well. Let's have a quick chat to Sina first, because the original reason we asked Sina to come on was about the protests, and then we'll bring Byron in as well, and let's talk about this news around the group from Counterspin and see what people are thinking, and we'll go through that process to show you what has been released so far. We're probably the first people to talk about this. It's one of the nice things about doing a live stream in the evening. Get involved, share us around. It's a good time to share the link on your Twitter feed or whatever, get other people coming in and having a chat about it, and yeah, we'll go from there. So let's welcome to the show to start off with Sina Brown Davis. Sina, good evening to you.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Ko Sina Brown Davis aho, ngō Ngāti Whātua ki Kaipara, Whaleola Samoa, and beautiful Ngāwhau Vava'u in the Kingdom of Tonga, and a proud member of anti-fascist Oti-Puti. It's so nice to be back home.
Nice
back in the cold, wasn't it? Freaking cold today. That wind was an icy thing coming through, man. Whew. Anyway. There's an icy wind, but for some reason, Sina, there's a warm glow around much of New Zealand.
I have this glass full of salty white tears, and I've been sipping and enjoying and savouring the sensation.
Well, as you heard me talking about, and I'll say it again, I'm this person that does kind of go allegedly, and I will also obviously say, as I'm sure we'll agree with in theory, even if you want to drink their salty white tears, innocent until proven guilty on anything. We all
exactly
know
right,
that.
and if it's proceeding to court too, let's be smart about that.
Yep. So let's talk about that shortly. We'll grab Byron and bring him in as well, and we'll have a bit of a chat about what's going on, go through the process. But look, Sina, tell us about Tuesday. Tell us about the protest, or the counter protest, if you will. Tell us your experience of being up in Wellington and what the day was like.
Okay, I went up earlier and helped out with the organising to, whip them in the shape and give them some confidence and planning them. I mean, we've been doing this stuff with some people in there for a long time now. So just making sure everything was sorted. And the day was wonderful. It was wonderful. It took the start in Oti-Puti to get people energised. I think we gave people in Wellington a lot of heart, a lot of hope. What was really important to me was having a physical presence there to counter Tamaki and them, but getting our kōrero out. Instead of like saying, yeah, I'm opposed to all this right-wing bullshit, but what values do we stand for? So, that was really important, and to build the connections between us all. So it was wonderful. And then we were honoured by Georgina Beyer tuning up. She wasn't phenomenal. Officially invited. Absolutely phenomenal. It has to be the highlight of the rally for me was her kōrero. That gave us so much mana. And for it to be 18 years to the day of the Enough is Enough march was magical. And Fire's so articulate and so strong, but just putting the issues and talking about what we should be concentrating on. And wonderful. Tiana the Greens turned up en masse. That was wonderful.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, no, the only people that engaged with from the political sphere were the Greens, and they came and joined your protest. What do you think of all the other politicians sort of staying away?
I wish they could have come. I would have given them a lot of heart. A lot of them have been getting death threats and threats of violence against them. So, a missed opportunity on their part, but maybe the next time, because we all know this is a long game we're playing at the moment, so that's just the beginning for the city. Yeah.
Sina, we were talking on Tuesday night about it, and one of the impressions I got was any of the groups, like I know that the what are they? The VFF, the Very Fine Fuckwits, whatever their name is. They didn't actually end up coming, and Counterspin was there, and Chantal Baker was there, but it felt to me like if those people were there to kind of push their anti-mask, anti-mandate, anti-vaccine agenda, it was kind of an embarrassment for them, because it looked from sitting down here looking in that it was really a Brian Tamaki vanity project, and most of the people that were there were just his subordinates. In other words, any of those other causes that people were thinking Protest Wellington 2.0 basically fizzled out and went away. Was that the vibe, actually, what it was like when you were there?
Actually, looking at it, Chantal didn't turn up because she can't live stream on Facebook anymore. sorry, not sorry. Yeah. There were a few sort of fringy, hardcore, anti-vaccine people there, but mainly they were like Brian's followers, and they were flown in and driven in from all over the North Island. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested that a lot of the protesters didn't realise planes worked from the South Island to Wellington, because apparently all they had to do to stop everyone from the South Island coming was stop the ferries. Like Jacinda put in a call, stop the ferries, and that means no one could get there from the South Island, because apparently there was no planes on that day either. So yeah, I guess that was a good call from the government to to make sure that they stopped those people coming across. So yeah, it was ridiculous.
Also, as a long-time activist, after the experience in February, the police's public order policing game was stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I heard a reporter from News Hub actually say it felt to them kind of the opposite, that in February, March, there was not enough police presence, and it almost felt like in this one there was too much. But I guess you'd rather have too much than too little when there's potential violence going on. Was the police presence overkill, or was it kind of just about right?
No, it was just about right. I mean, I'm no fan of the police, and I haven't been for a long time. But for this protest, I liaised with them and the Māori wardens. I talked to them to make sure that the police knew that we were gathering in peace. We were concerned about our safety, and so yeah, they protected us actually when Brian's people were moving around us and up towards Parliament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think, now this is a bit of a perhaps a juxtaposed question, because I'm going to ask you about a positive thing about Brian Tamaki, but compared to what happened in February, March, and compared to what some people was saying that this could have turned into, do you think Destiny did it right? They turned up, they made their protest, they left, and that's sort of how I'm not saying obviously did it right as in agreeing with their message, but that's sort of how a protest is supposed to happen. You make your point, you move on, you don't occupy somewhere for 6 weeks or whatever it was.
Oh, he's a pretty shrewd. I mean, he's sort of like very cunning, shrewd person. So tactically, they probably would have thought all of that through, for their optics.
Yeah, and as we said, you don't get a turn down service or a mint on your pillow if you're in a tent. So we knew Brian was never going to do that.
Yeah, but 18 years to the day to the Enough is Enough march. It was just like quite good to see people getting upset with all our like gay disco party music. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I heard some It's Raining Men over one of the
I just busted. And I don't want to throw shade at our comrades from Pōneke, but people from Ōtepoti are better dancers.
I've got to say, it's been interesting. I know there's been a lot of debate over the years about how best should you even counter protest? Are you giving them more attention that they wouldn't get if you weren't there? That argument has always been back and forth over the years. I got to say, from what I've seen here in Dunedin, what the guys up in Auckland did, what has happened most recently in Wellington as well, it shows that you can do a counter protest without giving them more voice. You're taking it away from them. And I think it's
exactly right. And those observations are usually made by armchair revolutionaries who've never gotten off their ass to actually
100%,
attend anything or organise anything. And in my mind, our rally was for us. It was called a counter rally, but it was for us. It was for the community. It was for everybody that had felt hurt and frightened after February. It's for people, for us to find each other so we can keep gathering and organising in the future. The tactic that we used, if you remember, Lawrence Southern and Stefan Molyneux, I helped organise the rally that we had about them in Auckland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's the positive. People want to come out and show, so you get all walks of life. They want to show that we don't want those people here. We don't like their ideas. But let us gather in the spirit of like kotahitanga and unity and diversity. And let's keep doing this, because we'll all be needing each other going forward in the future, because it's not like these guys are going to disappear or go away. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do get a sense of encouragement when I watch what's happening in America, and I just see how, these alt-right lunatics are getting into politics and winning, but then it tries to happen here in New Zealand, and people like Dudley Benson and a whole bunch of other people are kind of going, hey, Northland, beware of these 3 people, and hey, Waikato, be aware of these 4 people. And I get kind of filled with a hopefulness that maybe, I mean, not to disparage all of America, but maybe we're a bit smarter. And maybe we've got something on at the ground level that's more, we're not actually going to put up with this. We're actually wanting to give people identify these people so everybody knows, rather than just kind of slipping in the side door, which seems to happen in America a fair bit?
Oh, they're a settler colony like us in Canada and Australia, but we're not as far gone as they are. Yeah, and I think that's the only difference. And also, I think our resistance is different. I mean, I'm 55 now, but if I was in my 20s, I'd want to go be hardcore Antifa, run around. But those tactics and those strategies don't work anymore. So our anti-fascism here is based in our land, based in our values, not only of Māori values like manaakitanga, but values like your grandparents will bring a plate, know your neighbour, say hello, share the veggies, simple things like that.
Yeah.
That's the best antidote we can ever have to fascism, is simple little things like that of building our community and living good values.
Yeah.
And I think, the Labour Party have neglected the poor for too long. So that's the ripe recruiting ground for pricks like Brian and people on the right, is all the people that the government have left behind. So we need to step up our game, our mutual aid, our care for each other in the community. What I realised when we bounced, can I say Counterspin or not?
You can say whatever you want.
Absolutely.
In fact, I think. Hang on. I think, in fact, for the rest of the show, you must. That should be a rule.
I can hear the Photoshop machines firing up now to do their logo.
Counterspin and Carleen Hediorta, it wasn't me sitting on the phone doing heaps of phone calls. There were little old ladies throughout our beautiful city, who didn't like what they were seeing, didn't like what they were hearing. So we have that deep well of goodness. And, a lot of people that have been quiet thinking, oh, how can I participate? How can I show my disapproval? So we have to think of ways to encourage and make sure that everybody can be a part of it. Yeah.
I'm interested in the political aspect of this as well, talking about the people, the poor, the disenfranchised, who have been sort of let down, and maybe who would naturally fall on the left or Labour voters, and they're the guys that the right can pick off. And it reminds me of conversations in America with American politics about how, the poor and disenfranchised are actually on some level voting against their own self-interest, and how far gone you must be in like being so distraught, how far gone you have to be to go to vote for someone like Donald Trump, who is the complete opposite of what is a representative of you, because you're so far gone and so far upset and so far disenfranchised with the whole system that you're basically wanting to burn it down. And so that's something that I'm hoping and thinking that the left in New Zealand needs to pick up on, because this is the beginning, day one, let's say, of getting to that point on day 1,000. And what does the left need to do today to stop those people who, let's be honest, the vulnerable people we're talking about are much more better served by a left-wing government than a right-wing government. History shows us that absolutely without question. But to not allow those people to get to a point of being so disenfranchised that they go, well, fuck, the guys on the right must be better, because at least they're talking about the guys on the left who are not looking after us. At least they're telling us they're not looking after us, and for them to start voting against their own self-interest. So, yeah, you guys are doing an amazing job, as are so many people around the country at the moment.
Oh, that's that slimy, clever prick, Steve Bannon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Using all those things that we sort of took to heart on the left and twisting them. I want to take that word freedom back and protest back. Important part for me, not only the kaupapa that we were doing, was that right to protest is precious. The land march. I'm talking about the land march, the heko. We've just had the 50th anniversary of the Te Reo Māori petition that was presented to Parliament. I was over these people, shitting all over that. Yeah? For decades, no matter what the kaupapa, workers, women, homosexual law reform, people have petitioned and marched and protested in peace. Yeah, because that's how we do things here. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, should we get on to the next part of this conversation? Should we grab Byron and bring him in and have a bit of a chat about what's been going on in the last couple of hours?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's do that.
Kia ora.
Hey, kia ora, Byron. Welcome to the show, brother.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me
on. No, always welcome, always welcome. Let us set this up as to what happened and what I saw. I'm going to follow the process through, and then we're going to talk about it. Just to explain to people who are joining us tonight, and there are a lot of you, I can see it, who may not have heard the full situation yet. So, this tweet was going around Twitter tonight from Mark Dolder. Mark Dolder, who is, I think, to do with Newsroom, senior political reporter at Newsroom New Zealand, covering COVID, climate change, far-right extremism, and misinfo. He put out a tweet tonight asking about the claims that were going around that Counterspin host Kelvyn Alps and Hannah Spierer had been arrested and have just been he was just pointed to this public statement. Counterspin ran excerpts from the March 15 terrorist live stream earlier this year. And the statement was, peer charged under Films, Videos and Publication Classification Act. Statement to be attributed to the police spokesman. Police arrested 2 people in Christchurch today in relation to alleged offences under the Films, Videos and Publication Classification Act. A man has been charged with 2 counts of distributing an objectionable publication and 1 charge of failing to carry out obligations in relation to a computer search. A woman has been charged with distributing an objectionable publication, failing out to carry out obligations in relation to a computer search, and obstructing police. They have been bailed to appear in Christchurch District Court on 31st of August 2022. As these matters are before the courts, police have no further comment to make. I was thinking, we might have to get ourselves a reporter up to Christchurch for that day. So that then turned into a report on the Herald, but that's basically just repeating that. I then contacted Byron and said, Byron, can we confirm any of these things? And Byron actually pointed me to Counterspin's own Telegram. And this is Counterspin's own Telegram saying Counterspin hosts Kelvyn Alps and Hannah Spierer arrested. So this is Counterspin's. Now, the reason I put in the write-up to this episode, there are some credible and not so credible sources. I almost take Counterspin themselves saying they've been arrested as not a particularly credible source of information. Because as we know, many places need to cause sort of conflict to then fundraise off the back of it.
I was literally just going to say that. Yeah. How can they make money off this?
Yeah,
always
exactly.
On the grift.
So whilst they themselves say that they've been arrested, police have seized computers, phones and cameras. Counterspin director's home was also raided with equipment seized, awaiting further details. Then later on, so that was at 7 o'clock tonight, and then at 8:20 tonight, Kelvyn and Hannah have been released. We'll update once more. We have more information. From there, so we're still kind of going, in my head, I'm kind of going, let's be careful what we say. Let's, this is alleged. But from there, I guess the one media outlet that's prepared to jump into the water is stuff.co.nz. Hosts of far-right media outlet Counterspin reportedly arrested and charged. The founder and hosts of far-right media outlet Kelvyn Alps and Hannah Spierer have reportedly been arrested and charged with distributing an objectionable publication. A police spokesperson said 2 people, a man and a woman, were arrested on Thursday night in Christchurch. They did not aim Alps and Spierer, but confirmed the arrest had been made following online posts saying Alps and Spierer had been detained. Right, so there's a confirmation that they were detained. In a statement, police said the 2 people were also arrested for failing to allow officers to search their computers. So that'll be in that what we just read. They were bailed and will appear in Christchurch District Court on August 31st. Now, I guess this kind of goes to show, not this, but yet earlier this year, Counterspin published online excerpts from the March 15 terrorist live stream. The couple were involved in the anti-mandate movement, etc., etc., etc. We know all that. Fire and Fury documentary, they were a focus of that. Alps, a former soldier, had multiple failed political campaigns, launched Counterspin, yada, yada, yada. Goes on and on and on. They shared the information, or Kelvyn Morgan shared the screenshot. And this is the bit that I also thought shows the serious nature of what we're talking about. In 2019, white supremacist Philip Alps was charged over sharing a video of the March 2015 terror attacks in Christchurch. He had sent the video to 30 people and was sentenced to 21 months in prison. So my first thought, then you guys can get out of it. But based on this idea of being able to fundraise off the back of this, I hope that the police, if this is indeed the situation, have got all their ducks lined up, because if they're going to make an arrest and they're going to make allegations, they need to make a conviction. Because if they don't, these guys will make a shit ton of money and get a shit ton of publicity of this. So all I'm saying out loud is, I hope and I expect they do. They've got all their ducks lined up, and that if this is what's happened, which it looks to be pretty confidently now, that it then gets followed all the way through to the correct conclusion, and not something that could be used by these guys as a fundraising mission akin to, saving the whales by Greenpeace. That was my first thoughts. But how about Byron? Do you want to jump in because you've just joined us? What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah. Essentially, like you've just been saying, Counterspin is going to use this to promote themselves and to present themselves as victims, victims of the deep state, victims of the communist tyranny or whatever. And so that's why it would be good to be a little bit skeptical at first when they're the only ones announcing that they have been arrested. When I saw those initial screenshots and things, I was very much like, let's wait till we get some confirmation. And then, of course, we got that from Mark, and then the stuff in the Herald and so on. So we now know that, this is one of the rare factual statements made on the Counterspin Media Telegram.
The rare ones, the rare accurate ones.
Yeah. Stop clock and all that. So yeah, I've been skimming through some of the comments on there, and there's already I think that first thread has 350 comments, second one's 150, and yeah, people are making all the kinds of claims that you'd expect. A lot of them are blaming this on the Fire and Fury documentary that Stuff put out a week ago now, wasn't it?
Couple of weeks, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, yeah. I think this has quite possibly been in the works for longer. I mean, if the police had a warrant to seize equipment, to search computers, I mean, they would have had to get that from a judge. They would have had to, do all that. I doubt that they've just seen the documentary and suddenly got everything together for that. I think it's probably been a long time coming, to be honest. And as is mentioned in that Stuff article, they had shared excerpts from the Christchurch shooters live stream, and those excerpts were part of a so-called documentary claiming that event was a false flag. That documentary itself was pretty quickly classified as an objectionable publication. So, we don't know for certain if this is the objectionable publication that they have been arrested for, but it's what's the most likely explanation? I'd say this is the most likely explanation.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, looking at this, the link that you just sent us right then, Byron, now the media is saying police have arrested them. So even that, and the Stuff one was a little bit less than that, but have arrested them. Now the allegation is what the charge is. But I don't know if that means officially confirmed, but now media are saying police arrest and charge far-right Counterspin media peer in Christchurch. So do we say that's confirmed? We're certainly saying that's what the media is now saying is confirmed. Sina, got any thoughts?
I'm just going to have a sip of those salty right-wing tears. Yeah. I think my aroha, when I think about them being done for showing those objectionable things from the white supremacist terrorists, I give my aroha to the Muslim community, first and foremost. Yeah, thinking of them. And I think police probably been working on this since February, hopefully, but you're right. I hope the case is robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what Byron just said about having to have warrants and that kind of stuff. I mean, police don't just go to a judge and say, but we're not entirely sure. Let's have a crack. And the judge goes, yeah, sweet as. There needs to be an evidence and proof and saying the likelihood of this being there. So that when I say I hope they've got their ducks lined up, I'm not being defeatist. I'm kind of going, actually, I'm probably more going, within the court system, sometimes people get diversion or sometimes they get charged and found guilty, but they don't get sentenced. Like I just want to make sure that this can't be spun as, it wasn't us. Yes, we had to, so often in these cases, people will say, well, I had to admit my guilt because of X, Y, Z, but I didn't really do it. I just hope there's no way that they can kind of spin that sort of yarn.
Yeah, that they've got them well and truly in a box with nowhere to go. I guess it's always been the hard thing with these guys is that for folks like us that look at these guys so much and go, how are you getting away with this all the time? Where is the action? When's the shoe going to drop on these guys? Nobody's doing anything. Is that you don't know when something like this is going to happen. And I guess this is why I'm taking so much glee in it is because it's been so long coming that, they've been fucking around for so long, and that now it's finally find out o'clock.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out.
100%. So yeah, it's going to be something to follow over the coming weeks, and I just hope they hit them hard.
I'm interested to see if people like the Free Speech Union are going to jump up and defend them. What do you think? Because
I wasn't thinking of them, but you know what I just thought? We talk a little bit about Plunkett's platform here, and they had Alps on this week. I wonder if they're taking that video down. I wonder if they're a bit worried about the interview that Michael Laws did with Kelvyn Alps this week, where he was spouting a whole bunch of, I don't know if it was this stuff, but certainly maybe that's going to be part of the evidentiary thing against them, the interview on the platform with Michael Laws.
Oh, that's sweet. It's like Alps. I can't wait for his live to come out, because he's like, his politics like steroid rage every time he opens his mouth.
I mean, if the reports are to be believed, and they've scooped up their phones, their servers, their laptops, and all of that sort of stuff, they don't have the ability to put the show out there, which is great. But what is on those devices that hasn't been broadcast? All of their communications and who they're talking to.
Yeah, gosh.
It could be an information goldmine.
It could also possibly be the means which has stopped a terrorist attack or violence. Yeah,
potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the history of Kelvyn Alps is. Sorry, Chewie, you go, mate.
I was just going to. It's hard to overstate how important this could be, and the hole that it could blow in a whole bunch of the I guess alternative right-wing media. There's a lot of links in there that could be there.
Yeah, actually, as you're saying that, Chewie, and I'm thinking, the January 6th committee in America at the moment, how they're pulling all those threads together from various devices and people, and linking that person with that person and that person with that person. And if they've got, I mean, you could argue why do they want to stop them getting the hard drives? Because they may argue we didn't do anything. Fine, but maybe the reason's more going to be because there is some pretty heavy shit on there as well that they know is going to be, like, for example, I received the massacre in Christchurch. Someone Facebooked me the manifesto, and it was in my inbox. I never read it, I never saw it, but what I did see was all of a sudden it was gone. And so through the government and through Facebook, they'd got into my messages box and they'd removed it because it became an illegal document. So therefore, even if there's stuff like that through their computers, that's going to be like super serious, because it's illegal to possess those sorts of things at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be, I would guess, if they've got an edited or say doctored version, that you'd have to have the full version there, which is the real issue. I think if you've got, I'm not sure what the law comes to if you've got an excerpt or an edited version of the original. But
I think it's all objectionable. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think in this case, this supposed documentary was made in a country where it's not illegal to have the footage, which I think is most countries other than New Zealand. Actually, it's the classification office here that's deemed it objectionable, and so then the documentary was released online, and then that had to get its own classification. So the documentary itself is objectionable. If that was what they had, that is an objectionable publication. I mean, chances are there could be more than just that documentary. We don't know yet, and hopefully that information will all come out once this goes to court.
Oh, look, I think one of the things that I'm most interested in is what Chewie kind of intimated, which is I wonder what's in there between all these groups or between whatever else. That's going to be fascinating as well, if there is indeed some of that stuff in there. So I guess,
but there's a lesson there. You can't keep shit talking about violence, making death threats against our journalists, against politicians, against people that disagree with you, and be really arrogant and flippant about it all the time. Yeah, you can't do that to people. So yeah.
I'm just going to highlight a comment from the chat right now because someone's teasing my Christmas present early. Sam Smith asking, is Damien Dement next? And you just can't play with my heart like that. Oh, that would be glorious.
And we forget on the left, let's celebrate our little victories. Yeah. Let's celebrate when things go right for us and making gains against these people, because we're facing a tidal wave. We've had a few victories. Let's keep buoyed and give us the energy to keep fighting these pricks. I mean, people.
You can call them if you're calling it counterspin, you're allowed to call them pricks.
I think you're okay.
Hey, Byron, 31st of August is 6 days away. Are you going to be over at the court?
I'll be at my day job, but I'm hoping that this is a big enough story that a few journalists get down there to cover it, because I think it's definitely in the public interest to know. I mean, this is a city that's still healing from what happened in 2019, and if we've got these people with an audience of 18,000 people distributing material claiming this was some kind of false flag, I mean, I hope that some press journalists are there to give us that story, because I think Christchurch deserves to know what these people are doing and what the law is going to say about that.
Do you think it'd be worthwhile me bringing a crew up of people to have a laugh at him walking into the courtroom?
I think that could be a worthwhile road trip. Yeah.
If you do, could you please be our correspondent? Could we please connect with you and live stream that at the same time? Maybe you can do what can we do? Not It's Raining Men. What would be the best song for you guys to dance to as he was walking in?
No, that clown circus music.
And look, Dudley's just jumped in and he's got a fantastic suggestion for who should check this out, because even though I agree that this is not about Fire and Fury, it'll be bigger than that. But what about Paula Penfold? Maybe she will there. Maybe there'll be a follow-up to the conversation. And look, if nothing else, I'll tell you what, if nothing else, Fire and Fury in the media over the last 3 weeks has raised the level of awareness and has put this back into the media spotlight. So probably if it wasn't for Fire and Fury, and I think all of us would agree, it's probably got nothing to do with that, but if it wasn't for that, this may have a lower sort of interest rate by the public or by the media. So if nothing else, that would have raised the interest rate enough to get maybe all of the media there, Byron, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And also the brilliant thing about Fire and Fury, after educating people, you're buying them that social license about why it's important to oppose them. Yeah.
People are suggesting songs to dance to. We should get this going, actually. You Did It To Yourself by Radiohead. So maybe we can have some suggestions of what you can do. And yeah, Senator, I'll flick you some money for petrol if you're interested in doing it. That'll be a hoot.
Dudley, is that us?
Dudley's in the chat, and there you go. Sounds like one person's keen. Hey, look, ironically, is there anything else you guys want to add to this? Because there's other stuff we're going to talk about tonight, but this has been obviously the biggest news item of the day. And look, I let me say again publicly as well, Chantel, if you're watching, you're still welcome to come on and have a bit of a chat, because Chantel Baker said she would, and she was happy to have a chat with me, but the response has gone a bit cold across the email of recent times. So I'll just say now again, Chantel Baker, if you're watching, in fact, Chewy, we could do an hour special tomorrow night with Chantel. I wonder if there's any communication there to Chantel in that computer. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I wonder.
Wouldn't that be interesting? I'm not saying that there is, no allegations, just me, honest opinion and wondering out loud.
This is like part of it. These guys making them accountable for what they've done with that video. But we can cut the snake. If we look at fascism as a snake, from the head down, and it was always important for me that we target the leaders and the main propagandists. Those are important, not the people that end up getting swindled by these guys. And if a couple of their main propagandists are going, that's a victory for us.
Yeah.
I think if we're referring to Fire and the Fury, one of the comments that I've seen from some friends in my circle is that they wish that it was more in depth, or it covered more people, or there was a whole bunch of comments around that.
Oh, they'll have to wait for my book next year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think what Fire and the Fury did really well was it was an introductory course for people that don't know about these people.
Yeah.
These people that are that were just like, where did this parliamentary protest come from? Why are these people so angry? Why are they saying such horrible things? To know the people where that language has been introduced by. And Counterspin's a massive part of that.
I was really proud. My Whanonga Kylie Quince was part of the Fire and Fury documentary. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a really good introductory. Here is some people to keep an eye on. This is how it's happened. It's not exhaustive. It's not everything. It's not a deep dive into the really creepy right wing aspects of our, I guess, political discussion that we have now. That's spun out of COVID and a whole bunch of other things. But here are some people to put on your radar, and now a couple of them are going to court.
Educating people is really important about these issues, about who the players are, about the politics are involved. I always like people participating in protests if they're clued up about why they're there first.
It always funny is as well when someone's got a kind of a minority positional view, whatever it is, how they want publicity and they want people to know about it. But then they get to a point where maybe that's happened here with Counterspin, that when they make too much noise and get too much profile for some of their abhorrent views, then the authorities that need to be involved can become more involved. And one of the reasons they're involved is because the waves they're creating, and they're creating waves because they're getting profile. So it probably hasn't helped their situation. I still will say, as you know, innocent until proven guilty. As long as this all pans out in court, it won't have helped their overall objective, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like road trip on the 31st, Sina.
Oh, could you be surprised about what I can organise in a short period of time?
I think after the past month or so, no, we wouldn't be shocked by what you can organise in a short amount of time.
And the good thing is, Jacinda can't stop the ferries between Dunedin and Christchurch.
Oh, because I think I have an inner 14-year-old boy male troll inside of me. It's gonna be hard for me not to want to troll the fuck out of the bastard watching him walk into the courthouse by just laughing at him.
Speaking of trolling, I don't know if you saw what Hamish Price put up about you guys at the protest.
No.
Did you see that doing the rounds?
No.
A little bit. See if you can spot it. I'll pop it up on screen now. You might want to look at your banner at the back there. Does that look like there might be a little bit of Photoshoppery going on there?
Those guys wouldn't know what communism is if it's set on their faces. Yep. Fuck.
I just love that that's all they had. Was we better Photoshop that banner to mention communism, because that's all we've got.
Horror.
But that was put up by Hamish Price and shared by David Farrar before he realised that he fucked up.
What did annoy me in the prelude to the rally were all these people on Twitter warning about the violence, trying to scare people off from coming, having a go at I've been doing this for 35 years. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. People's safety has always been paramount. And these guys are meant to be our allies. I wish they would
just concern trolling. Really.
But concern trolling? It's like, bitch, please. I know what I'm doing. We had a 78-year-old Tinasa Moore. She would not be there if it wasn't safe. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think when people are talking about counter protests and that sort of thing, when you're going up against groups like the hard right, outright fascists, that sort of thing, those guys know how to respond with violence. It's kind of what they're hoping for.
So we never, and that's the thing, we never gave it to them. Everybody was told not to engage with them. That rally was for us to build solidarity between all of our different communities and breaking up inspirational kōrero about what our values and visions are, with a bit of dancing, and some waiata. No engagement, and they don't pick that. So there was never ever going to be any violence between the counter protesters and the Destiny cult lot.
I like that you're calling it a rally and not a counter protest, because that feels like that means you're not there for them. You're not countering them. You're there for you. This is I mean, whether they were there or not, you could be doing it.
Yeah, it's really important what we need to build. Yeah. And also, too, we have a wonderful anti-fascist legacy to uphold. My great uncle was in Northern Africa fighting the Nazis. I have my grandfather was in Guadalcanal. You know, we've had battalions of Māori men lose their lives in their fight against fascism. That's a beautiful legacy. Even your Pākehā tūpuna won against fascism. So that's a special legacy for us to uphold in this modern time as well.
That was what I was so pleased to see, that you guys staked your place on the cenotaph. Absolutely perfect place for an anti-fascist rally. As I like to refer, it's kind of the family business as far as I'm concerned. Because, my relatives, they fought in Greece and in Crete. So, family business.
And we do anti-fascism our way in Aotearoa. Yeah. No, I'm not a skinny anarchist vegan that's going to go jumping and running at the fascists. We do things our way here that are grounded in our values as mana whenua and as New Zealanders as well. You know, the best antidote to fascism is community and being nice to each other. Might sound like your auntie talking, because I am the original auntie far. People have picked up that handle, but I was the original one. Be an auntie to your neighbours, to your community. Yeah. And then we can do our politics. Once we've built those trusted relationships, make sure we're hard out on our mutual aid, then we can learn about the politics, and then we can move on together. We've got a lot to defend. There's a lot, I'm having a laugh about Counterspin, but there's a lot at stake. And I really feel that we're at a crossroads in Aotearoa, but we haven't left it too late. And I've got a lot of hope and a lot of heart that we just keep building. Yeah, to those people who remain an insignificant fringe element, which they've always been.
And the more people see people like you stand up, then the more they'll feel empowered that I won't be the only one.
Yeah, exactly right.
I've got people around me. I saw so many of my Wellington friends who were so, they all lived in the centre city. They were so worried about this being Occupation 2.0. and having to put up with another month of what they put up. They took so much heart, and I'm sure some of them were down there as well, knowing that this time there was somebody going down there to stand for something positive. Yeah. So, it 100% made an impact, and hopefully we'll see every time these guys want to have a little flag party that there's going to be a group of happy dancing weirdos telling them that they're not unopposed.
When I first moved down to Ōtepoti, 2 weeks later I organised to kick the National Front out of our city. So
I was in Wellington. National Front had a Flag Day rally or something stupid. It was the same weekend as Punk Fest, which is terrible planning on their end. But they literally got ran out from Parliament to the railway station by a bunch of crusty punks dressed up as fairies, like tutus and wings and streamers and stuff. Seeing National Front boot boys running from that was just phenomenal. And they never came back from it. They never got the same momentum back after that.
No. I think one important thing, I'd love you guys one night to play Georgina Byers' speech. I think having, showing solidarity with the rainbow community is really important now, especially after the firebomb attack in Tauranga. Seeing the smear campaigns against our trans whānau and calling our queer whānau, what is it they call them, groomers and pedophiles? Yeah. So
which just seeing from America.
Yes, directly from there. So just seeing the confidence of those young activists in that community coming to support and organising, that means we need to watch out. Please watch out for our rainbow whānau. Please make them safe. Yeah, they're targets at the moment. And I just sort of another point too, when that person, I don't know who they are, were hassling me about the safety at the rally. I'm a person of colour. It's unsafe for me as soon as I walk out of my fucking door, but I'm not scared. Yeah.
I was wondering for both of you guys, for our two guests, chances are people who are watching this are pretty much on board, part of the team, because that's our audience, right? We know who we are, we know what we're saying, we know who we attract. But if you've got people coming in here who maybe are going, oh, now what is this all about? What, let's say this they're a 1.0 into coming into this protest and trying to figure it out, and they want to what can you tell people who are just starting on the journey of where you guys are with understanding this threat to New Zealand and the world, but to New Zealand, and what they can do about it?
Educate yourself. There's what I'll do for you guys is drop a lot of links. Educate yourself about the issues. We've got Byron, we've got other experts, we've got women like Tina Ngata, who've got their brilliant minds across all of the issues and politics that are involved. I think we need to up our. See, the right are always beating us in the propaganda game. That's why I love you guys, because we need more of this, more cordial and more observation and more news from our side. So that's a big, actually, weakness of what we're doing is we're not doing enough to educate the people. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
really important.
It's really important too, that if you're coming into a space, just listen for a while.
Yeah.
You know, listen to what people are telling you, the people that have been there and done that, like yourself, the people that have invested the time to look at who's doing it, how they move, how they react, that sort of thing. It is okay to be there and just listen to advice and just take it in rather than trying to take over. I think a lot of people come into a movement like this with a lot of, I got to do something. You are doing something just by being there. You don't have to be the new leader that's just turned up yesterday.
Yeah, and see, when I get going, they're like, I'm going to bake a cake and give it to my neighbour. Then they're like, yep, that's my anti-fascist action.
Yep.
Nice.
To see that sort of stuff as well. Not just the rallies, not just this. I'm building community. I'm supporting refugees. I'm doing this. I'm supporting my local queer whānau. That's my anti-fascism act.
It's that idea of, and I used to talk about this when I used to do I was the only strange kooky lefty on Newstalk ZB, and people would phone up and complain about, like the Tope callers, they'd complain about migrants, and they complain about these people. They always want to stick to themselves. They always isolate themselves amongst them. Why do they come over here and acclimatise? And I used to always say to them, how many of them have you asked around for dinner? And these people will be like, whoa, and my thought was always, the easiest way to come into a room where you're the singular and they're the plural. You know, when you walk into a party and everyone else knows each other, and you're the stranger, the easiest way to acclimatize and be brought in is for them to be welcoming to you, not for you to go, hey, fuck, we're walking in. You better be like us, and you better do it now. So I would always say to people, how many times have you asked this migrant neighbor of yours over for dinner? How many times have you introduced them to rugby? As much as we hate it or love it, that's a part of our culture. You know, how many times have you actually been the ones that open the door rather than slam the door in their face by saying, you're not doing it, so fuck you. And I hear that when you're talking about taking your neighbor a cake. It's that kind of idea.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to be really think about what sort of community do I want to live in. That's why I like that banner, love community, hate fascism. It's all about building community and solidarity between each other. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing complicated about that.
It's a really important thing to mention. I mean, it's so easy to fall into aggro. These guys put up so much hate and so much aggro. It's almost natural to want to respond to it with a similar level of aggro. And I know I fall into that. I'm ready to combat, to argue back at the drop of a hat. But you're 100% right. Is sometimes the best reaction to what they're doing is pulling in a completely different direction. They want to split people apart. We want to build community.
And like my reaction to them is troll them, have a laugh at their expense.
Yeah.
I like doing my one-way trolling where they can't respond to me, but I can troll the fuck out of them, have a laugh, call them clowns. Yeah,
I
that
saw
takes their
that in
power.
person.
They want their fear. They want to create like an atmosphere of fear with all their violent rhetoric and shit cordial. Nah, I'm not going to scare me. The only person I've ever been scared of in my life is my mother. Or getting a growling from one of my aunties. Yeah, come on, Kelvyn Alps. Yeah.
That's very true. One thing that blew me away when I was there in Dunedin for our rally there is they just did not have an answer for what we had.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you bring down a bunch of diverse dancing people and disco bangers? You just
Yeah.
can't.
That's
We
the
can't
power
hear
of
you. We
Dudley
don't
dancing
care.
the YMCA. Yeah, we don't care. And you know, just the visual difference between their fascist world and our beautiful rainbow connected community world. It's like we're having fun, we're living life, we're looking after each other. They look so sad and angry. Karoha for them.
Yeah, 100%.
And one of the beauties of that particular event was also that you guys, well, I was there as well, outnumbered the other one so massively. I was wondering if that was possibility in Wellington when you were up there. Like, there you go. So if people haven't seen this before, you're looking at it now. The group that were actually, you know, quote unquote protesting, were outnumbered, I don't know, 5-1, 7-1 by, you know, dancing lunatics in the most positive sense of the word. So it was fantastic.
Oh, I think if we had more time to build in Wellington, but also don't forget they're living through the trauma of what they had to live through in February. Yeah. The next one will be huge. But like, you know, I really love because Dudley really introduced me when we started working with him at that our rally, is the politics of joy, of us showing joy. Yeah, of us showing joy being together. And that's a beautiful form of resistance. Yeah. Us loving each
Absolutely.
other, us supporting, and there's a joy in it. It doesn't have to be, you know, if you're saying you're anti-fascist with this turgid, serious stuff all the time. No, we can have fun and love each other, and that's a beautiful resistance to fascism.
Hey, Byron.
Thank you, Dudley.
Oh, 100% Dudley. Yes, he's a champion. And he's got the best bar in town. So,
yeah.
I've got a question for you, Byron, because I haven't really seen anything. Has there been, I mean, there's been a lot around the mayoral race and the candidates that are standing there, and obviously a lot of this movement comes out of Christchurch as well. Have there been people trying to get a counter movement off the ground there to kind of push them off the bridge of remembrance, which they love to rally on, that sort of thing?
There's a bit of something starting up. Yeah, it's in the kind of embryonic stage, but yeah, there's definitely people here who are looking to do something more, and it's going to build towards something. I think you got to build those community links with the different groups and things, and before you're ready to really do the big public demonstration. But I think we'll see that in the future. If these far right groups are going to keep rallying, I don't think they're going to do that unopposed for much longer. Yeah. Even if the opposition starts out smaller, and that it'll grow.
Cool. So if people are watching this and sort of going, yeah, I want to replicate what we've seen in Christchurch, is there anywhere in particular that they should be looking as far as, like, say, Facebook or Twitter, or that you can point them in the direction of?
I'd say it's probably it's such an embryonic stage. I don't know if there's a Facebook or a Twitter as such, but I mean,
more to come then.
Yeah, keep an eye out. Follow me if you're not already. Follow Fact, Fight Against Conspiracy Theories. You know, follow groups like Paparoa. Follow the other anti-fascist groups in other cities, and you'll get that information for Otutahi when it's there.
Yeah, I've got a Otutahi activist whose name I won't mention, and she'll be visiting me for a cup of tea in Antifa's kitchen in the weekend. But I think organising against this stuff is pretty serious shit. So Byron's right. Take those time to build those connections, build those trusted relationships, and then let's roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Stand together.
Yeah. Some kotahitanga.
Guys, this has been great. And look, my thumbnail, which I made about 40 minutes before we started this, is completely wrong. So we're not going to do anything else. We're just going to wrap up this conversation now. But to finish off, we will wrap up now. I'd love to give the floor to you as well, to the three of you guys. If you want to share anything, if you want to add anything, if you want to drink some more tears, whatever you want to do. Let's have like a last something if you want it, and if you don't, we'll wrap it up and say thanks for everyone for joining us, and thank you to all the comments in the chat as well about people enjoying what they're seeing. And you know what we always say, share our shit, #share our shit, and we'll be here tomorrow night from 10 o'clock as well. Byron, anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, take some joy in seeing that justice might be on the way for some of these people, and get active, get involved, look at what's happening in terms of anti-fascism in whatever city you're in, and think about what you can do. Like we've been saying, listen and get to know people first. Don't just jump in there, but definitely do get involved, because there's a role for everyone in the anti-fascist movement.
Sina?
I'm hopeful. I want to give people hope and heart. We can do this, whānau. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's look after each other. Let's live it. Let's care for each other. We're together and mighty. We are strong. Solidarity is the key. We have our values based that come beautifully from the land, from the whenua. Yeah, those are beautiful values for everybody. That's our vision. I really felt like I was getting a spiritual kick up the arse by Mātua Moana Jackson while I was up in Wellington. This is work. This is the good work. Let's keep getting it done. I'm working towards making his vision for a society based on treaty justice a reality, and that's for everybody. Yeah. So I think in my mind they've already lost, because how can you fight against that? How can you fight against a nice slice of cake or a hug, or see a beautiful refugee family being settled? How can you want to shit all over hope, joy, and love? Yeah, that's really sad if you want to do that. So I just want to tell people we're in for the long haul, but we can do it. And as my experience as an Indigenous woman here, we've always fought against the odds, absolute, complete odds of having 99% of the country against us most of the time. But our people have gathered in dignity and in peace, and have made great changes. This is the 50th year of Ngā Tamatoa. We can do the same. It might seem insurmountable. It might seem like the tidal wave is coming through, but don't give up hope, because hope will beat hate.
And look, Chewy's sometimes Chewy has some trouble with his computer there. It's obviously just happened right at the very last second. So I will just show he had this comment pinned. Thank you, Sina. Trans people absolutely being targeted. The bathroom safety fantasy is their main argument with no basis of evidence. We must always shut this down. And I'd like to finish with one thought. And I'm sure you guys would acknowledge that. I think it was Isaac Newton that's saying that if I've seen further, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And I'm sure you guys can probably, you two in particular, Byron and you, Sina, you can probably think of the people who came before you, whose shoulders you're standing on, to see further and do what you're doing today. So I guess I just want to actually honor you two guys and say that you guys right now are also giants. And when I asked that question earlier about what should people do, and you guys said, do your research, get educated, read people, listen to people. You are two of the people in New Zealand who are the giants that people can stand on their shoulders, so that in 10, 15, 20 years from now, they can then see further as well. So I just wanted to say that to you guys, to say thank you for your work, to honor you guys for what you're doing, to thank you for being the giants that you are in this conversation and in this work that's being done, this mahi, and just look forward to see where to from here, albeit it sounds a bit weird saying look forward to it, because it's a battle and it's a fight. But as I think you say, Sina, it's a bit like the battle's already won. It's like the battle's been won, the war's just got to be completed, but it sort of feels like a done deal. So thank you for being current giants, acknowledging the giants that are before you, and to all those people out there who are before you, standing on your shoulders. It'll be exciting to see what they do in 20 years from now. Chewy, you disappeared on us. You got anything to wrap up? I shared that message from Dudley about the defending trans people, but do you want to have anything you want to share at the end?
Oh, look, I think I was just putting a comment in the chat, actually. Look, people are saying, why give these groups more attention by rallying against them, by doing counter-protests, by having Fire and the Fury? It's an argument that I've heard for years. My answer to that is bad stuff happens in the dark. Nasty people operate where they're not being looked at. If you shine a light on it, they don't like it.
I don't want to hear the argument anymore, honestly, because like by showing up, actually, we're introducing our narratives, we're introducing our corridor to counter all of that stuff. So, like, yeah, it's necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. My mum used to say that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and
Flat
I
out.
think that's true, literally and metaphorically speaking. That sunlight is the best disinfectant.
That's why cockroaches scatter in the light. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about the light that I always like the imagery of is when the light comes, you notice when you turn a light on, the darkness doesn't kind of just casually disappear and go away slowly. When the light comes, the darkness goes and it's gone. So light being brought into a situation causes darkness to disappear immediately. So that's such an important thing to bring out there, because when the light comes, the darkness is vanished, and it's vanished immediately. There's no meandering or anything when light gets away from, when it sees, when light presents itself to darkness. So it's a really important thing.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
When people going to go to the Wolf Bar? You two.
No, I need much convincing.
I'm down.
You better come down for. Let's do that soon.
Yeah,
100%.
Byron, it's 450 Ks from where you are to Wolf. Are you down as well?
I'm really keen to get down there. I haven't been to Dunedin in years, so next time I'm there, definitely be hitting up Wolf for a drink.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Really appreciate Byron jumping in last minute. Sina, what a perfect time. We didn't connect on the Tuesday night, and you know, it was fate that we didn't, because tonight's been perfect. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything else you want to throw in there, Chewy, from the comments?
Just chucked one up. Ignoring a concerning growth doesn't make it go away.
It's like the Homer Simpson example where he's got an engine light coming on, and the way he fixes it is putting the sticker back across it. Not on anymore.
Perfect. Job done.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you everyone for joining us. Bottom of your screen, this broadcast gets turned into an audio podcast, as they all do. Go and search #BHN or Big Hairy News on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Rover, and you can find us and subscribe to our daily podcast, which is basically this in audio form. So if you miss us one night, who would miss us? But if you did one night, then the next morning it's in your device, ready for you to listen to on your way to work and stuff as well. So get yourself along there and do that. And we will be back, I'm assuming, tomorrow night from 10 p.m, Chewy. Thank you again, Sina. Thank you, Byron. Thank you, Chewy. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. Until tomorrow.
Pumari.